Well, the parents I talk to, I don't know if they have too many boys. The ones I talk to now are the parents of the girls that played on the girls' soccer team. And they don't believe that their daughters will be drafted or involved. They've told me that. And so they're really kind of unconcerned about it. Some of them think that 9/11 is linked to Iraq and that we have to fight the war because we're fighting against terrorism. Mostly people are kind of apathetic about it when I talk to them about it. They just don't really think that a draft is going to happen. They think we've got this great volunteer army and that everything's going all right now, and they just don't really think that it will come to a draft.
Well, it's already happened. The corporations run everything. Everything's being privatized, even the military. You have all these private army groups over in Iraq, for example. He's using the military as a means to consolidate and establish the United States as actually as an empire, literally, a world empire, controlling empire.
And how are they selling it to the people, though?
Under the guise of security. And 9/11 handed him the greatest opportunity that any president could ever have. It was like Pearl Harbor for FDR. They flew airplanes into buildings and killed those poor people, innocent people in the buildings. You, American citizen, are in danger. You need us to protect you. So we are going to step up the military action, the spending in the military-industrial complex, which lines the pockets of those corporations even more.
What do I think about it? I think it's awful. I don't know any way to wake people up to it. I don't know if it's too painful and they just don't want to admit it, or they're too busy with everything else in their lives. No matter what you say to them, they just sort of, it kind of like bounces off like they're covered with plexiglass. And I don't think that they're going to vote against the war or against Bush. I don't think they see that as a danger to them.
Working class people and people that question what's going on are considered aiding the terrorists. They've taken it 2 steps further. They're not just un-American. They're actually aiding and abetting the terrorists.
They don't let it touch them. They think about baseball and golf and boxing and whatever else they like to do. The Pistons winning the championship, as if, that has any meaning. They get all excited about that.
Well, I'm scared to death that they're going to reinstate the draft, and this is going to escalate like Vietnam, a quagmire with no end. These guys are they themselves even talk about having to be in Iraq for years to come. It's no accident. It's not something because they blundered and created a mess because of some blunder. This was very well thought out and planned, this invasion of Iraq, and using the pretext that Iraq was somehow connected to the 9/11. Get control of that oil over there, consolidate power in the Middle East, strengthen the American empire, make the people in America scared and more divided than ever. And they pulled out all the stops again to use that for this patriotism gimmick that they use. Wrap yourself in there's an old saying, the last refuge of a scoundrel is the flag. They talk about patriotism, some mystical thing that can't be defined. If you're not American, you don't support our policies, then somehow you're bad and un-American, whatever American means. American, supposedly, the concept was freedom and democracy and freedom of speech and free to express your ideas, and the whole country was based on a rebellion against England. But of course, the reality was a firm control by the elite power groups all along afterwards.
Real life is too hard to live with and to accept. You got to shelter yourself or you just be very unhappy all the time. So people don't think. They turn off their thinking.
That's what's so unexplainable about these war situations. They just talk about people getting killed like it's normal because they've created a situation where it has become normal. In other words, it's just total insanity. It defies all logic. They can say a lie that's totally, completely backwards And everybody knows it's backwards. It's like the old fairy tale, The Emperor's New Clothes, when he's sitting there naked and everybody agrees that he's got beautiful clothes on. People are intimidated by this system. They're afraid. I wouldn't put a bumper sticker on my car right now because of these idiots. Who knows what they're going to do to you with all these guns out there in the cars. I'd be very leery of putting on anything other than something like supporting a carry bumper sticker. I'd be very leery of putting on anything about anti-war on my car or anything like that. There's enough of these right-wing guys that don't have to worry about getting drafted, and they don't give a damn about anything other than their guns and stuff and their beer. They'd probably shoot you.
When people are babies and toddlers, their brain is turned on. They're all about learning about everything in the environment. They're talking, they're acquiring language, they're chewing on everything, they're turning every knob they can get to. They want to know everything that's in the outside world. And so they're absorbing everything. I don't know where the point is. Maybe it's like middle school or something, when things become too much and then they start shutting down and they only let in the things that are pleasurable or that aren't painful or that aren't work. They're so used to videos being fiction. They can't tell when something is real. Like when I'm on MHTV every morning and I'm saying good morning and welcome to the show and stand for the pledge, how many times that year did those kids come to me and say, how come you never change your clothes? They thought I was on every morning live, but I said the same words and looked the same way and always wore the same jacket. They have a really hard time differentiating between what's real and what's not real if they see it on TV. They either think it's all real or they think none of it is real, but they can't tell the difference because that's been their whole life, watching things on TV and on video.
Number one, first and foremost, don't believe a single thing you read or hear from any source, but especially what we call the mainstream media, and that's most important.
And what about the American dream?
There is no such thing. It's just a propaganda myth. Oh yeah, it's a carefully manufactured one, primarily out of the 50s. That if you worked hard, played by the rules and all this, and they always cite the other countries as America's the best. If you don't like it here, look at what people have to put up with in other countries and all that. Well, that's true. That is very true. They have it. It's terrible in other countries. Far worse than here, obviously. We're very fortunate here. But that doesn't mean that this system is perfect or it's any good. It just means that we happen to luck out and have one that works better for the people than the other ones. It doesn't mean you're supposed to have this blind obedience, patriotism, bullshit crap that they use the word patriotism. That's just a scheme to kill you.